Film is a medium which captures the audience through its cinematic visuals and crafted sound design, grounding them in a reality built on extraordinary worlds and experiences. This is Steven Spielberg. Our love and fascination with storytelling is timeless. Though the art is continuously expanded upon and reflected, director, producer, and screenwriter Steven Spielberg's work continues to stand out and catch all demographics in transporting people to worlds beyond imagination. Capturing the emotion of the world and the characters he directs, he's able to develop realistic and entrancing narratives for the audience to connect to, creating both a memorable and transformative experience. Spielberg broke many glass ceilings in the film industry with his style of work and the stories he has taken apart in telling, while also making milestones in cinema and how a film can captivate an audience. His unique approach to film takes the audience into the environment of the movie through his use of engaging camera movement, grand production design, and dynamic soundscapes. Spielberg's imagination captures a world beyond others, his attention to detail and world building at times spiraling in its depth, always pays off in the enchanting reality he helps to create. From worlds of whimsy and wonder in films such as Hook, Jurassic Park, and the BFG, to horror and enthralling suspense in Duel, Jaws, and War of the Worlds, to somber and emotionally provoking films such as Schindler's List and The Color Purple. How did Steven Spielberg become Steven Spielberg? Spielberg's love of films and imaginative thinking led him to be destined to be part of the world of storytelling and filmmaking. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1946, Steven Spielberg's love of cinema was captured at a young age, going to the theater every weekend where he sought inspiration from Akira Kurosawa, Pinocchio, Lawrence of Arabia, Godzilla, and Alfred Hitchcock, all of which have great influence on Spielberg's works. His adventure into filmmaking started at the age of 8, getting behind the camera for the first time filming his family camping trips and events. At the age of 12, he began making narrative films, writing full scripts, working with neighborhood actors, and using primitive special effects. At 13, Spielberg made his first short, The Last Gun, in 1959. He was awarded with a movie-making badge, and a full filmmaking career ahead of him. Spielberg's first public film was a 40-minute war short, Escape to Nowhere, in 1962. This won him first prize at a film festival at age 16.
First he wanted to use real explosives, but I wouldn't go to the drugstore and buy gunpowder and make explosives, so we used this mud trick, and it worked pretty good. We'd take a stick and bury one end of the stick in the mud and pivot it on a stone. The kid that was acting as a soldier was supposed to get blown up, would run up to that thing, step on the other end of the stick, flip the mud in the air, which looked like an explosion, and fall on his face and contort and roll over and all kinds of stuff like that.
Spielberg's first professional works. Starting in television, Spielberg worked his way up to be seen, working with steadfast devotion to get him many great opportunities, and now, global recognition of his talent and work. Amblin, 1968, was his first short film shot in 35mm, which he had both written and directed. After sneaking into Universal Studios, Spielberg's persistence eventually got a copy of Amblin to the office of VP Sid Sheinberg. Impressed by this 24-minute film, Sid signed the young Spielberg to a 7-year contract as a television director. From here, Spielberg began creating more public content, working on TV series Columbo and the 1971 television movie Duel, which was so successful it picked up a few theatrical releases and is now regarded as a cult classic. Duel. Spielberg was drawn into directing Duel because of the suspense in the film, following the philosophy of the unseen is more frightening than the seen. His success in developing such a cinematic and emotionally driven film in Duel landed him the opportunity to direct his next film, Sugarland Express, thus starting his relationship in collaboration with John Williams. Spielberg's rising independence and control in directing allowed him to experiment and work on innovative developments in film. Sugarland Express being one, with the first movie to add a tracking shot from the front seat to back with a 360-degree pan to be used, creating a more dynamic and engaging scene in the car. The success of Sugarland Express and Duel, showing techniques in developing suspense, proportional scale, and subtleties, landed him the opportunity to direct his breakthrough film, Jaws, which subsequently ushered a new genre in cinema, the blockbuster. Jaws became the first summer blockbuster, raking in over $7 million during the opening weekend. Now, Spielberg has proved his strength, not only behind the camera, but to the private sector as he turned what was the slowest growing season into the most profitable one.
When you go onto a set in the morning for a movie, you nervous?
Yeah, every morning. Yeah. It's the same feeling I get going to work every morning as the feeling I got going to school every day. Being a bit of an outsider and not being normal and not quite getting good grades and not being able to compete, and my tummy is spilkus, my mom would call it. You know, I'd have before school every day, and I feel that when I make movies too.
But you're better at this than you were in school.
Oh, damn straight.
Opening demographic. There is one market of films that was often overlooked: children. After creating kid-friendly films with E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1982 and Jurassic Park in 1993, Spielberg proved you can create high-action and fantasy films with in-depth emotional stories that can be captivating and awe-inspiring for both children and adults. Spielberg uniquely gave many of his films a quasi-childlike naivety to them, centering a child's perspective in many of his films. Spielberg focuses on reactions to extraordinary events, using a mix of POV and reaction shots to draw the audience into feeling the emotions of the characters, using character-oriented editing to align our experience with the characters. This is often referred to as the Spielberg face. Soundscapes. With a heavy focus on sound and audio, Spielberg understands the importance and scale for audio in order to draw the audience in. Utilizing dynamic sound and having subtleties with auditory details for suspense and world building contrast to make the scale more extraordinary. Simplicity in storytelling. Spielberg works with utilizing all aspects of storytelling, sometimes less being more. Through the use of shadows, silhouettes, and reflections, he enhances the emotional points and intensity of what is seen. Color. Spielberg's use of color further helps develop the tone and emotional state of the characters. In his 1993 film Schindler's List, Spielberg uses color for eye tracing. While desaturating every other color but red, Spielberg has a little girl in a red coat, having her stand out to represent the innocence, hope, and blood of the Jewish lives lost during the Holocaust.
The song I'm about to sing is called Miss Celia's Blues.
Spielberg artfully directs cinema in unique and often underrepresented voices, from Schindler's List speaking up on Jewish representation in 1993 to The Color Purple, bringing light on issues of intergenerational trauma, racism, sexism, poverty, and domestic violence. Within these melancholic projects, Spielberg carries a reverence for the story and honor to the people who live on from these tragic experiences, keeping the social discourse alive and ongoing to overcome these systematic issues enrooted in our cultures and time.
Yeah, well, I think everybody felt that we were memorializing something, and it felt to all of us as if we were shooting in a cemetery. So there was a kind of amazing, I guess you'd just call it a equanimity of respect, and it was quiet on the set, and everybody just did their work. No one was laughing, no one was telling jokes, no one was talking about, football scores back home. It was really, really one of the most, I've only had this experience twice. One was shooting Schindler's List, and the second time it was very reverential, was shooting Lincoln. The two times that I think the entire company came together to pay their respects and how quietly they dedicated their work.
Spielberg has masterfully developed techniques to draw the audience inwards, creating imaginative and real worlds filled with engaging stories and connections. His works share a profound impact with the audience, leading them on an emotional journey heightened through his gifted ability of storytelling and use of cinematic tools. super intensity to Spielberg's work to describe how he creates films. His films beam down on emotion and then subjects it to 2 hours of muscular titillation. In Jaws, the emotion was terror. In Close Encounters, it was wonder. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was exhilaration. In Poltergeist, it was anxiety. And in E.T., it was love. Spielberg takes the time to build up his characters, the world, and the stakes involved to fully evoke the emotional beats and connections from the story to the audience. Spielberg's magic to cinema continues to shape and influence filmmakers of all backgrounds and levels, sharing the importance of creating work that is connected to yourself and that is meaningful. Spielberg's work shows the power of creating for your own vision, showing that anyone can open up how we tell stories, how we represent people, and their experiences, and who we make movies for. You have many years ahead of you to create the dreams that we can't even imagine dreaming. You have done more for the collective unconscious of this planet than you will ever know.